the Imamoglu in Istanbul has been arrested. His degree has been taken away from him. Of course, that is about the forthcoming presidential elections. I've only done a little bit of reading on this. My understanding is, and I could be wrong on this, my understanding is that with Erdogan, there's a term limit, right? He was, remember, prime minister before he became president. He changed the constitution, and I think there's a term limit. I'm guessing 3. And what seems to be in the offing, if I'm reading the press correctly, and hopefully our comrade Essen will, fill us all in and tell us what's going on. My understanding is his aim would be to bring presidential elections early so he can still stand. Right, that's my understanding. And who's his main rival? Was going to be the candidate of the People's Republican Party, CHP. That was so he's gone in for a preemptive strike. He's arrested them. Masses of people are on the street. Who knows what's going to happen? His calculation would have been, well, I know what the EU is going to do. It's going to huff and puff. They were never going to let Turkey in as a member. They always were going to keep us as an associate member. Talking membership of Turkey, that was never going to happen. So we can ignore Europe. They're not going to do anything against us. And in America, Donald Trump seems determined to copy me in terms of an authoritarian regime, and he admires people like me. So he's not going to do anything. At least that's my calculation that's going on inside of Erdogan's head. And I suspect he's right. That's my guess. And lo and behold, and I think I'm right in terms of the chronology, where Biden was talking about Turkey not getting these F-35 fighters. Remember, these are the 5th generation. These are America's latest warplanes. Israel's got them. Britain's got them. Turkey wasn't going to get them, but Greece was, right? There's the announcement from Trump, oh, we're reconsidering our bar on Turkey getting F-35s, because Biden was saying you should settle for revamped F-16s. These are 4th generation, old planes that they're basically shoving in the direction of Ukraine. Now that's, I would call that symbolic. And to me, that isn't quite Trump turning around and saying, yippee, yippee, but nonetheless, it's hardly punishment, is it? Now, amongst my mass base of weekly worker readers is not only the pub I go to on every Thursday. I've got a mass base in the SWP. When I go into the pub, there I have a line of comrades waiting to take the weekly worker off me. I'm not exaggerating by much, but I also have a Turkish mass base. They're down there, my Turkish restaurant next door, and I take the weekly worker in and I say, here you are, Hassan. And, we have a tiny political, I say, what did you think of events with the arrest of the mayor of Istanbul? He said, John, that's what he calls me, John, he said, well, it's what you expect. It's a fascist country. And it's been a fascist country, according to my comrade, ever since Ataturk taking the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Turkey for a long boat trip out into the middle of the Black Sea and then giving them a swimming lesson, right? So Turkey has always been a fascist republic. And it's true that if you look at Ataturk's laws, a lot of the laws against class struggle are taken directly from Mussolini's constitution. The difference is, of course, that if we look at the party of Ataturk, it was something called the People's Republican Party, which was affiliated, at least when I was younger, to the Second International, the Socialist International, as it became, post-war, Cold War, we're talking about. And this is the party of the mayor of Istanbul. So the idea, that, in my view at least, that Turkey is just some uninterrupted fascist state, needs some cross-examination. And the fact was that when I was younger, and when Esin, our journalist, our comrade in Turkey, was younger, it used to be the army carrying out a coup on behalf of the People's Republican Party against the Islamicists. Now, what we've seen is the purging of the army since the Gulen coup. I don't know where the army now stands. I just don't know. I'm not going to pretend I know, but I do think that there's been a radical change within Turkey. I wouldn't describe it simply as a fascist state. And indeed, I'm a boring old orthodox Marxist. I sort of tend to go along with Trotsky and go, I can recognize a fascist movement when I see it. Trotsky's argument was, and okay, maybe it falls down with Nazi Germany, but the fascist state is being bureaucratized. The fascist movement is being bureaucratized, and it becomes progressively less fascistic. The purging of the SA, the purging of, the integration of the black shirts into the state, the merging between the elite in the fascist party and the bourgeoisie. Trotsky argued that fascism, in that sense, is in decay once it comes to power. That aside, we wait. The article. All I would add in, though, is that whether this was part of the calculation that you deal with the PKK first before you make a move against the People's Republican Party and your main presidential rival, I don't know. But it doesn't make Öcalan's plan a particularly, it doesn't give it traction, does it? If you're a PKK militant and you look at what's going on at the moment in Istanbul, on the streets of Izmir, on the streets of Ankara, people demonstrating in defense of democracy, or what remains of a democracy, and your leader from prison is saying, well, let's go over to a purely legal struggle. Your militants, I think, would tend to turn around and say, well, what? If they're banning the People's Republican Party candidate, don't you think they're going to be arresting or continuing to arrest our comrades as well? And my answer to that is, I think that is the case.